Nah. All right. So, welcome back to another podcast episode. Today we're going to be going over the games that happened on August 7th. All right. So, first game on the docket was the Spurs Jazz game. Now, this game was kind of tightened back, and the Spurs ended up winning it. Now, for the Jazz, this isn't that much of a big of a deal because they didn't have Gobert. But man, the Jazz are not having a good bubble season. They've lost to the Thunder, the Lakers, and the Spurs, and they've only won 2 games against the Pelicans and Grizzlies. And they almost lost that game against the Pelicans. So really, the Grizzlies is their only win. I mean, it counts, but whatever. So yeah, they gotta kind of figure things out. All season they've been a little shaky, so that's kind of a worry. But the whole Mike Conley thing's not really working out. I mean, kind of is, but when they did the trade, it was kind of like they were getting another person who can handle the ball, and now it's just like not working out because Conley's diminished a little bit as a player. But I mean, yeah, I mean they didn't give up too much, so it's not really that big of a deal. They gave up a first round pick, I think that was it, or no, it was like a late first round pick or something like that. So I mean, it's not that big of a deal. But on to the next subject. Derek White had 24 points in that game, so that was pretty good for him. Yeah. Next 2 games I want to highlight are the Sacramento Kings, Brooklyn Nets, and the Memphis Grizzlies and the Thunder. Now, these games were eerily similar because, well, in the Thunder's case, in the Memphis Thunder game, the Thunder had a huge lead on the Grizzlies in the first quarter, and then Memphis came back, and they kind of just took over the game. And it was over. And the same thing with Brooklyn, except Brooklyn, they took their huge lead in the fourth quarter rather than... And the Kings almost, they made a little bit of a comeback in fourth, but I mean, not really. They were kind of just covering the spread. But yeah, I mean, Kings, it's kind of over for them. There was a good point today on Inside the NBA by Kenny Smith. He said they can never like figure things out. Like they always figure things out, and then it's like it's just falters. You know, it's like they're, I don't know. It's like when you have a lottery pick every year, kind of. Some point, you know, you gotta start winning, I guess. I mean, yeah, that's really my take on it. Brooklyn Nets are still somehow alive. Karis LeVert was leading the way for them with 22 points, but one notable thing for them was Terrence LeVert, who he was with the Sixers and then with the Suns, so he's kind of like a journeyman, or he's kind of playing his way out of the league. He had 10 points tonight, which is pretty good. He's been playing very good at all. I think he had 30 points a couple nights ago. I forget which against team. And Christian Joseph and Tyler Johnson. Christian Joseph, who's been on the roster for a while, I want to say. And yeah, he's been on there the full season at least. And Tyler Johnson, they both had 14 points tonight. So they're finding diamonds in the rough. And, you know, they had a lot of players. They had 4 major players opt out. Obviously, KD was injured before, but I mean, still. So yeah, they're still finding out ways to, and they made the playoffs today. So I mean, still. Jaquik Vaughan, so you pronounce his name, I guess. I'm not pronouncing the name right, but yeah, I mean, it's pretty impressive what they're doing. So yeah. Next, I'm going to talk about the Sixers Magic's game. Now, this game was really interesting because it was a back and forth game. Alec Burks played well for them. He had 22 points off the bench. Joel Embiid's unstoppable. It's really my take on it. I know it's not really a aggressive take, but I mean, you know, that's kind of my opinion. And yeah, it looks like they're not fairly. I mean, it was against the Magic, but maybe they can find a win with that to win without Ben Simmons because they're going to be out with him for the rest of the season or playoffs or whatever you want to call it. I mean, yeah. Next game on the docket was Pelicans, which is going to be a quick one. Drew Holiday had 28 points. I mean, it's the Wizards. They're kind of in the bubble. I mean, as it's before, for scheduling purposes. I mean, you can't really take away what it is. They only won by 11. I mean, it's whatever. Wizards are eliminated from the playoffs. I mean, they were eliminated from the beginning. I mean, it's barely impossible they were going to make the playoffs. My take on this, the race in the West for the 8th seed gets 8-9 seed becomes a lot more interesting with this win. It was obviously expected. But yeah, that's it, really. I mean, the Celtics destroyed the Raptors today. It was a late nightcap game. The score was 122 to 100, but that doesn't really tell the story. Like, it was a blowout from the beginning. Raptors made a little bit of a comeback in the second quarter, I want to say, but besides that, I mean, the game was over. Now on to the standings checks and see what's gonna happen with that. But like, yeah. Now before we go into the Western Conference, in the East, Bucks already made the first 1 seed. Raptors, they lost tonight, but they'll probably take the 2 seed. Where it gets really interesting is the 4, 5, 6 seed. Maybe the Miami Heat take the Celtics seed, but probably not going to happen. I really want to see a Heat Pacers series just because of TJ Warren and Jimmy Butler, but I mean, yeah, it's probably going to happen. Home court doesn't really matter, so I mean, there's that. Right now, the Pacers and Sixers are tied right now, but I'm hoping the Sixers kind of fall or they go tumble a little bit. They do what they're doing all season, just kind of mess up a little bit. The real race is the 7 and 8 seed right now. Nets and Magic. That's gonna be a huge difference because you can maybe win a game against the Raptors, or two, but I don't think you can win a game against the Bucks. And look, obviously, like winning a game doesn't really mean that much, but moving forward as a franchise, it means a lot. Especially for a team like the Magic, who got some young stars and Markel Fultz. Jonathan Isaac obviously went out, so I mean, but look, you obviously want to win, and that's why you're here. So you better we get the 7th seed than the 8th seed. Right now, the Nets have a 1-game lead off that. So that's really got all the time I have today. I just kind of ran out of footage. So I'm not going to really talk about the West. The West is hella interesting. I'll get into that next podcast episode, and it's coming out tomorrow. All right, cool.